China's natural landscapes are among the most diverse on Earth. Thanks to the country's immense size, travelers can experience everything from subtropical forests and cloud-covered mountains to vast deserts, frozen plateaus, and tropical beaches. Beyond its breathtaking scenery, China is also home to a remarkable tradition, blending engineering, nature, and spirituality into architectural masterpieces that seem to defy gravity. Rather than conquering the mountains, ancient builders learned to build in perfect harmony with them. And it is this surprising side of China, one that few people outside the country truly know, that we are going to explore today. Get ready to discover extraordinary places, incredible stories, and fascinating facts that reveal why this nation is one of the most captivating destinations in the world. Wangxian Valley. Some places seem as though they were designed to challenge our sense of reality. The scenery is breathtaking, but what truly makes this valley extraordinary is the way tradition, engineering, and nature have come together in perfect harmony. Located in China's Jiangxi province, Wangxian Valley, known in Chinese as Wangxian, stretches across a mountainous landscape surrounded by towering cliffs, dense forests, and crystal-clear rivers. For many years, this area remained virtually unknown to international tourism, with its economy centered on mining and local farming. In recent years, however, an ambitious restoration project transformed the valley into one of China's most photographed destinations. What makes it especially intriguing is that despite its ancient appearance, much of the village seen today was carefully reconstructed to preserve the region's traditional architectural style. The first impression is almost always the same. The buildings appear to defy gravity, clinging to sheer rock walls as though they were part of the mountain itself. Wooden balconies extend out over the cliffs, narrow bridges connect buildings perched at different elevations, and glowing red lanterns illuminate every walkway after sunset. The entire scene resembles the landscapes portrayed in ancient Chinese paintings, where mist-covered mountains served as the home of sages and immortals. It is after dark that the valley reveals its most unforgettable identity. As soon as the sun disappears behind the mountains, thousands of lights slowly begin to glow, illuminating every rooftop, suspended walkway, and wooden balcony. The lighting was carefully designed to highlight the village's architecture without overpowering the surrounding darkness of the mountains. The result is an almost cinematic atmosphere, leading many visitors to compare Wangxian Valley to the settings of Chinese fantasy films. For decades, mining was one of the area's primary industries, leaving a significant impact on both the landscape and the neighboring communities. As mineral resources gradually lost their economic importance, the region faced the challenge of reinventing itself. Rather than abandoning the area, local authorities and investors chose to restore the damaged landscape and create a tourism destination inspired by Jiangxi's traditional architecture. The temple we are about to visit is even more fascinating. But before we continue, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you'll be alerted every time we publish a new video. Ganluyan Temple. Deep within Fujian Province, in Taining County, lies one of the most extraordinary landscapes shaped by Danxia landforms, famous for their enormous reddish cliffs carved by erosion over millions of years. Hidden among these towering rock formations, almost invisible to anyone looking from a distance, stands Ganluyan Temple. The cave that houses the temple is truly remarkable in scale. Its highest point rises to more than 262 feet, while its depth reaches nearly 66 feet. The cave's entrance resembles a massive inverted triangle, broad at the top and gradually narrowing toward the bottom. This unusual shape creates a remarkable sensation for visitors. The mountain seems to completely embrace the temple, sheltering it from strong winds, heavy rain, and the passage of time. The name Ganlu means sweet dew, a direct reference to the natural phenomenon that occurs above the temple. A stalactite hanging from the cave ceiling releases tiny drops of crystal-clear water that slowly fall throughout the day. For centuries, these droplets have been regarded as symbols of purity and spiritual blessing. The temple's story began during the Song dynasty. Historical records indicate that construction started in the middle of the 12th century, around the years 1146 or 1147. According to tradition, a traveling monk arrived at the enormous natural cave and immediately recognized its potential as a place for meditation. The most remarkable feature of Ganluyan Temple is its structural design. Much of the building is supported by a single massive wooden pillar that rests directly on the cave floor. Surrounding this central column, a sophisticated network of beams, wooden joints, and supports distributes the weight, keeping the multiple levels perfectly balanced. At first glance, many visitors assume the structure looks fragile. In reality, the opposite is true. The combination of the cave's enormous stone ceiling and the precisely fitted wooden framework has allowed the temple to withstand centuries of humidity, powerful storms, and changing weather conditions. During the 1950s, the Chinese government officially recognized the temple's cultural significance, placing Ganluyan under provincial heritage protection in Fujian. Maijishan Grottoes. For centuries, countless travelers passed this mountain without realizing that hidden inside was one of Asia's greatest collections of Buddhist sculptures. From a distance, Maijishan appears to be nothing more than a massive rock formation rising from the landscape. Only upon approaching does it become clear that the entire mountainside has been transformed into an extraordinary work of art. The Maijishan Grottoes are located in Gansu province, a region that served for centuries as a crossroads for merchants, pilgrims, and travelers from many different cultures. This strategic location made the site an important center for the spread of Buddhism as caravans traveled along the ancient Silk Road, carrying goods, ideas, and religious beliefs between East and West. The story of this remarkable complex began around the 4th century, when Buddhist monks selected the mountain as a secluded retreat for meditation and religious practice. Over time, small chambers were carved directly into the cliff, housing sculptures modeled from clay over wooden and stone frameworks. Unlike many other cave sanctuaries carved entirely from solid rock, Maijishan became famous for this distinctive technique, which allowed artists to create remarkably expressive figures. Many still preserve delicate facial features, graceful hands, and finely detailed robes, revealing an astonishing level of artistic skill for their era. Generation after generation added new sculptures, gradually expanding the complex over several centuries. The mountain's shape heavily influenced the entire design. Rising approximately 459 feet above the surrounding landscape, its nearly vertical cliffs forced builders to construct suspended walkways, linking dozens of caves carved into the mountainside. Even when looking at photographs, it is difficult to imagine the enormous effort required to complete such an ambitious project using only ancient tools. Now, it's time to visit one of China's most iconic temples. But before we continue, I have a question for you. Have you ever visited China, or would you like to someday? Let me know in the comments below. Lingtong Temple. Nestled on Lingtong Mountain in Pinghe County, Fujian Province, Lingtong Temple occupies one of the most spectacular natural settings in southern China. Its origins date back to the Tang Dynasty, a period when Buddhism expanded rapidly throughout China, and monasteries were increasingly built in places believed to possess exceptional spiritual significance. The temple's defining feature is the way it rests beneath an enormous rock overhang, naturally protected by the mountain itself. Rather than dominating its surroundings, the structure embraces the landscape, using every ledge and natural projection of the cliff to support its halls, corridors, and small pavilions. This remarkable harmony has led many visitors to compare it to a hanging temple, although its architectural character is entirely unique and deeply connected to Fujian's rugged terrain. During the rainy season, a rare natural phenomenon transforms the landscape. A graceful curtain of water cascades directly in front of the temple, creating the breathtaking spectacle known as the Pearl Curtain Rain. It has become one of the region's most recognizable natural landmarks. Ancient traditions claimed that scholars who walked through the waterfall would be blessed with good fortune in the imperial civil service examinations. Visitors exploring the temple follow a network of stone stairways, small terraces, and scenic overlooks facing an endless sea of forest-covered mountains. Around every corner, the scenery changes. Morning sunlight highlights the dramatic contours of the cliffs, while the late afternoon bathes the rock in brilliant shades of gold and orange. The temple remains an active place of worship to this day. Pilgrims continue to visit the complex to offer prayers, light incense, and participate in ceremonies that have been preserved through countless generations. At the same time, architects and historians regard Lingtong Temple as an extraordinary example of China's ability to adapt construction to some of the world's most challenging landscapes. Few buildings achieve such a perfect balance between engineering and nature. Rather than feeling as though the mountain was altered to accommodate the temple, it seems as if the temple itself learned to live alongside the rock from the very beginning. Fanjingshan Temple. Fanjing Mountain, located in China's Guizhou province, rises to more than 7,500 feet above sea level and is part of one of the country's best preserved ecosystems. Over millions of years, wind, rain, and geological activity sculpted an extraordinarily unusual landform. Instead of creating a mountain with a broad summit, nature formed a massive stone pillar split in half by a narrow crevice. The result looks more like a natural sculpture than an ordinary rocky peak. It is easy to understand why this remarkable site was recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2018. Here, biodiversity, geology, and history exist together in an almost inseparable way. On foggy days, only the summit remains visible, creating the illusion that it is floating above the clouds. In my opinion, very few landscapes convey such a powerful sense of isolation as this one. And perched atop this narrow rock formation is something even more extraordinary. Instead of a scenic overlook or a simple observation platform, two religious buildings occupy the limited space at the mountain's peak. They are the temples dedicated to Shakyamuni Buddha and Maitreya. Separated by a dramatic natural chasm, they remain connected by a small stone bridge. Viewed from a distance, this connection is almost impossible to see, reinforcing the impression that each temple stands on a separate fragment of the same mountain. I like to think that this single detail perfectly captures the philosophy behind the site. There is not just one temple, but two distinct sacred spaces representing different stages of existence according to Buddhist tradition. One honors Shakyamuni, symbolizing the present and the teachings already revealed. The other is dedicated to Maitreya, the Buddha of the future, representing the time that has yet to come. Crossing the narrow stone bridge becomes more than a physical journey. It symbolizes a spiritual passage between two different stages of enlightenment. Historical records indicate that the first temples were built during the Yongle reign of the Ming dynasty, more than 500 years ago. Over the centuries, the structures inevitably suffered from the mountain's harsh climate. The present-day buildings were reconstructed to faithfully preserve the traditional appearance of the originals, while incorporating metal roof tiles capable of withstanding powerful winds and sudden temperature changes, ensuring that their historical character could be preserved for future generations. Jiuzhaigou Valley. Located in northern Sichuan province near the eastern edge of the Tibetan Plateau, Jiuzhaigou Valley occupies a mountainous region that remained relatively isolated for centuries. Its name means Valley of the Nine Villages, a reference to the ancient Tibetan settlements that existed here long before tourism arrived. Even today, several communities continue to preserve traditions, temples, and customs that help tell the story of this remarkable landscape. I often imagine what it must have been like to cross these mountains when almost no one beyond the region knew they existed. Over thousands of years, glaciers, earthquakes, underground rivers, and mineral deposits worked together to shape this extraordinary landscape. The result is an astonishing collection of lakes, waterfalls, forests, and mountains spread across approximately 278 square miles of protected land. Few places on Earth contain such an incredible diversity of natural scenery within a single valley. Around every bend, an entirely different landscape comes into view. That remarkable variety makes many visitors feel as though they are exploring several national parks during one unforgettable journey. The defining feature of Jiuzhaigou Valley is undoubtedly its water. More than 100 lakes are fed by snowmelt from the surrounding mountains and countless underground springs of exceptional purity. Their crystal-clear transparency amazes even scientists who specialize in studying natural environments. In some areas, visitors can clearly see tree trunks that fell decades ago and remain remarkably well preserved on the lakebed. Because there is so little suspended sediment, sunlight passes through the water with very little obstruction, creating a level of clarity that is rarely found in nature. Perhaps the valley's most famous attraction is Five Flower Lake. Every time I see photographs of this place, I find it difficult to believe that its colors are entirely natural. Brilliant shades of turquoise, emerald green, golden yellow, and deep blue appear at the same time, creating patterns that look almost hand-painted. In reality, These stunning colors result from a combination of dissolved minerals, submerged vegetation, varying water depths, and the changing angle of sunlight. It is a completely natural phenomenon whose intensity shifts throughout the day. The waterfalls are equally essential to Jiuzhaigou's identity. Among them, Nuorilang Waterfall stands out for its extraordinary width, stretching beyond 984 feet during periods of peak water flow. Instead of plunging in a single vertical drop, the water spreads across a broad limestone terrace, forming hundreds of delicate white curtains that cascade simultaneously. The sound of this immense volume of water echoes throughout the surrounding forest, becoming a constant companion for visitors along much of the trail. Zhangjiajie National Forest Park. In the northwestern region of Hunan Province lies Zhangjiajie National Forest Park, an immense protected landscape surrounded by dense forests, deep valleys, and towering quartzite cliffs that have risen over hundreds of millions of years. Officially established in 1982, it became China's very first national forest park. It was later incorporated into the Wulingyuan Scenic Area, which earned recognition as a UNESCO World Heritage Site because of its extraordinary geological and ecological significance. Whenever I imagine walking through this landscape, I find myself wondering how many millions of years of rain, wind, and flowing rivers were required to sculpt such astonishing formations. Nature worked here on a timescale that is almost impossible for us to comprehend. The park's unmistakable signature is its thousands of towering stone pillars, many rising more than 656 feet into the sky. Unlike traditional mountain ranges, these massive columns stand separated from one another, forming an extraordinary vertical labyrinth. This landscape was created through millions of years of erosion, which gradually wore away the softer layers of rock while leaving behind only the strongest quartzite pillars. The result is a landscape that seems to ignore every geological pattern we are accustomed to seeing elsewhere. For much of the year, drifting layers of mist weave through the deep canyons, partially surrounding these towering rock formations. The effect creates the illusion that the mountains are floating above a vast sea of clouds. Perhaps this is the very image that made Zhangjiajie famous around the world. No two moments ever look exactly alike. As humidity, temperature, and sunlight constantly change, the scenery transforms before the eyes of every visitor. Many people immediately associate this breathtaking landscape with the world of the movie Avatar, and for good reason. The park served as one of the primary inspirations for the floating mountains of Pandora. One of its most iconic pillars was even officially renamed the Avatar Hallelujah Mountain, following the film's worldwide success. I find it fascinating that a geological masterpiece created entirely by nature helped inspire one of the most unforgettable fictional worlds in cinematic history. I hope you enjoyed our journey through these incredible places. Before you leave, be sure to watch the next video we've selected especially for you.